I came into education in 1981 as a further education lecturer in business and management. And I recall at the time surveys from employers saying young people just haven't got the right level of literacy, numeracy, IT skills, they can't work in teams, they're not self-confident enough. Last March 2011, the CBI survey on skills said young people have not got the right numeracy, literacy, IT skills, they lack self-confidence, they're not sufficiently motivated, they can't solve problems. So in a sense, it's with a bit of an irony I hear that, because that's been around for 30 years. So in a sense, putting the challenge out to businesses, where have you been for those 30 years in the terms of influencing the education curriculum? But I think there's a genuine need there in the terms of what employers are not interested initially in qualifications. They're interested in those skills, because they will mould and develop young people in the workplace. So I think it's important that we do listen, that we are aware. I mean, one of the areas, particularly for us, is STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths. We're hearing a lot from employers that young people haven't got that right level of skills in those areas. Just as an example, of all these graduates that come out of university who've done STEM qualifications, only 10% end up in STEM-related industries. They're all working in the damn city, or management consultants. So yes, we listen hard, and then we try and feed that back to schools and colleges and say, look, we have to provide a programme that gives those employability skills along with the qualifications, and those young people will be work ready.
But what about the other side of the coin? What about the kids' perspective, the kids coming out of the educational system? What issues are they facing?
Yeah. I genuinely think young people are great. I'm not just saying that because I'm a parent of a 16-year-old. I think young people are demonised and have been demonised in the press and the media, not least because of the riots. So I think I'd like to see a lot more positive news about young people. When I speak to you, and I was doing a presentation to a group of young people in Widnes yesterday morning, and my take to young people is they're entering a very, very complex and challenging world, much more complex than when I was 16, and that's a long time ago, I can assure you. And things that we took for granted, be it going to university and getting a grant, having to come out with 60k debt, that you would have a pension, that you'd be able to retire at 65, all those givens have gone. And I think we need to recognise how complex that world is. But what I find the young people that I work with, they're motivated, they are enthusiastic, they want to do well, and I hear what Dan's saying, and they are aspirational, but often they don't realise what they can aspire to because of the issues that you raise around people coming from disadvantaged communities, non-traditional backgrounds in the terms of going into higher education.
There's a lot of self-limiting beliefs there that are kind of holding them back. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think if we can, through our programme, which includes business mentors and internships, I think that starts to broaden their horizons, develop their self-confidence. All of our students, 16 to 19, they are studying either A-levels or vocational qualifications, or a combination of both. So the Year 12 students, they come onto the programme for 2 years, and what we do is wrap around their Level 3, their A-level studies, this programme of employability skills. And essentially what they get, and without business supporters, this model cannot work. So our business supporters provide business mentors, or we call them partners in business, and they support our young people for between 12 and 15 months. So that usually 10 meetings over that time period. And guidance is given, we've got resource books, but it's about using that experience to good effect to guide and support that young person, because if they're studying or they're taking decisions about their future life, and I would like to make the point, we prepare young people for 3 choices. If they want to go into higher education, fine. If they want to go into full-time work, we're preparing them for that. And increasingly important, if they want to go into an apprenticeship, we're preparing them for that. So they get the business mentor for 15 months. They get a 6-week paid internship, and that's becoming a tough call now, as you can imagine, with the difficulties of the economy. But we ask employees to pay £1 above the minimum wage, which for those young people is £3.80, so it's £4.80 an hour. Running alongside this, they get what we call guru lectures, and I can sense there are guru lecturers in this room as we speak.
Full of them.
Full of them. And essentially that's about delivering an interactive workshop on something that's relevant to your business, to your organisation. So it might be how you're using social networking, it might be how you recruit new staff, how you train and develop staff. And then the fourth part of the programme is workplace visits, because we want young people to be exposed to the workplace, for them to understand business etiquette, business culture, customer business awareness. And that's it. So it's internships, partners in business, guru lectures, workplace visits.
But the thing that came across on the video very strongly was this idea of them feeling confident.
Yeah. Yeah.
And presumably a lot of kids coming out of the education system lack those social skills or that self-assuredness that requires them or enables them to be able to stand up in a meeting and contribute in some way.
Well, I think that reflects what you were saying, Dan, about the level of expectation for young people. And, if I'm doing okay, I'm doing okay. And we work with students that come from disadvantaged backgrounds, disadvantaged communities. So there are other pressures that you referred to as well, which in a sense can be dampening down aspirations. But it's really because of what business people contribute. Clearly, the young people bring their commitment to the programme, but it's what business people do that makes the difference. Because they've got very interesting stories to tell about their experience. I mean, just give me one example. We've got a partner in business, 2 or 3 from O2, the telephone company in Blackburn, and I met with them last week. I said, we need to do a briefing, etc. And you're a lot younger than I am, so you'll be able to relate to the young people. And this woman who's in her 20s said, yeah, I stopped going to school at 14. And I said, sorry? She said, yeah, I stopped going to school at 14. I said, well, why? What was wrong? Were you ill? Oh, no, we had horses. And my mother said, oh, don't bother going to school, just look after the horses. Her manager was sat next to her, and he was gobsmacked. He said, you never went to school? She said, no, I didn't, and I've never told anybody. What a brilliant story to be able to share with a young person that actually I've turned my life around, and she's now one of the best salespeople for O2 in Blackburn. So people can, I know this is a passion for you and Sarah, telling those stories to those young people makes a hell of a difference.
What sort of objections are you having to overcome, though, when you're trying to place people into companies? Is it just a financial problem that they have with it, or?
That is a challenge. Inevitably, for large corporates, I mean, Lloyd's TSB, for example, provides 60 paid internships across England. So it's easy because it's part of their corporate social responsibility. For small, for some of the local economies, with small to medium-sized businesses, it's a bit more of a challenge. But what the internship to us is not, I mean, we've all probably been involved in work experience, and work experience, to be quite honest, at times can be a bit turgid. A bit of photocopying, a bit of filing, met the tea, and you've had a week's work experience. This is much more significant. This is about a young person making a difference in the workplace, being a member of a project team. And when employees say, well, it's going to be so time-consuming doing all of that, we've got customers driving, we're in a tough market. And one of my points that I make to them is, look, you've got a 4 to 6 week selection window. Is this your next employee who's going to be coming in here? You tell me when you get that opportunity in the terms of deciding for the right person for your business. So there is that. And I think also businesses think education is rather complicated. I mean, there's a plethora of qualifications, trying to pick your way through all of that. That's part of my role, is to reassure and remove the barriers and say, look, this is about you making a difference to a young person.
Sure. And I might also involve Dan in this question as well, if I may, Ian. A lot of employers complain that kids coming out of school or sometimes even university can't spell properly, can't write properly, can't speak properly. Now, what's going wrong in the education system that's preventing them from developing those very basic skills, but which nonetheless are very important?
I think there's some overgeneralisations, to be quite honest. On the whole, they are bright, they're intelligent, and they work hard to succeed. And I think it is about actually talking that through, having that discussion with employees and say, well, okay, if that's your view, and if that's their view, I've got to respect that. Here's a chance for you to make a difference. If you get involved in the Career Academy programme, work closely with your local school or college, you can change that and help to shape that curriculum. So this is your chance to make a difference.